I think most guitarists understand that if you don't have a solid rhythm guitar foundation, you don't have much of a base to build upon. And so given how important rhythm guitar is, we thought we'd dedicate this video to exploring some of the foundational materials that you need to have put together as a rhythm player. This is all going to be presented to you by the great John Schroeder. John is the house guitarist for the Dancing with the Stars band. That means you can hear him playing most nights of the week on primetime TV. And John is also a particularly skilled educator. You're going to enjoy what is a very hands-on masterclass here. You're going to want to have your guitar in your hand. John's going to go through many different exercises explaining what the concept is as well as the outcome for your rhythm guitar playing. You're going to learn how to bury the click in your practice. You're going to learn how to play in the pocket. John's going to teach you all the layers to a James Brown song as an example of how you might apply the concepts. And while the materials may feel funk guitar focused, it's worth adding that really the concepts are something that you can extrapolate and use in any different genre of your choosing. So with all of that said, I'd encourage you to grab your guitars and get ready for this masterclass with the great John Schroeder, and I'll leave it to John to speak to what you're going to do first.
Looking forward to talking about some funk guitar today. This is a style of music I love to play, and we're going to get right into it. I just wanted to start with, with warming up. Let's start with warming up and a couple exercises that we can do to build our internal clock, and to get our right hand. With the funk guitar, it's really mostly about the right about the right hand. At least it is until it's not. Okay, so I'm gonna set the metronome slow. I like to warm up with a slow metronome. Okay, so this is at 50, and we're just going to go 16th notes at 50. And the name of the game is is downstroke, upstroke. So for each 16th note, we're going to divide the bar into we're going to divide each beat into 4 16th notes and strum each 16th note. So 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and so with the metronome, it's slow. 1 E and 2. Not as slow as I thought. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and. And my goal here is to bury the click. And when I say that, I mean that I want my strums to be so on beat that you can't hear the click. So let's see if I can do it. I've not been successful thus far, but if I did this for a couple minutes, I would be if eventually. Okay, so a couple things to think about here. First of all, let's talk about what your right hand is doing, your right hand position, and the technique. Here's what it's not in playing this sort of style. It's not, you're not moving from your elbow. You're just moving your forearm and your wrist. So it's not. The way I think of it is like you are opening a door. Think about turning a doorknob. So my forearm stays in place, and my right hand and wrist are going down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. So 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4. Let's keep on doing that. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1. Now the next thing I'd like to do, I don't want any accents. So I'm not going to accent I'm not going to accent each beat. I'm keeping everything totally unaccented. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E. My time is getting better. I'm starting to get a little warmed up. Okay, so this is all great. This is a nice way to get your right hand warmed up. Also, a quick note about the left hand is that I'm keeping my fingers on the strings so that they're totally muted. I'm not playing a chord, which you can probably hear. And a quick note about this. Sometimes when people do this, they wind up hanging out around the 5th or the 7th fret, and then they get a little bit of a harmonic going. We don't want that. So 6th fret is nice, 8th fret's nice, anywhere that's not going to result in an accidental harmonic. Okay, so now, all this being said, we have our right hand doing what we'd like it to do. Let's get the left hand involved now. So this is we're going to start with a 9 chord. So we're going to start with an E flat 9 chord. I'm going to go over what an E flat 9 chord is real quick. This is probably the most common chord in funk in this style of music. So okay, we have a root, E flat, 3rd is a G, the 5th is a B flat. So it starts with just a major triad, root, 3rd, 5th. Now, an E flat 9 chord is a dominant chord, which means that the 7th of the chord needs to be flat. So 1, 3, 5, flat 7. And then we need a 9th too. So we have flat 7 up to the root, up another step gets us to the 9th. So 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 9. That is an E flat 9 chord. But we can't play all of those notes at the same time because we can't. We don't have enough fingers. There aren't enough strings because the guitar is a silly instrument. It doesn't allow you to do things like that. So we need to ditch one of those notes. So as with most chords, we're going to ditch the 5th. We don't need the 5th. Who cares? It's not that important. It's all about the 7th and the 3rd with most chords. 7th and 3rd are really, really what you need. So we've got root, 3rd, flat 7, and 9. I'm sorry to say that I've lied to all of you. You can play the B flat, but which is the 5th, but you can't play it here. You have to play it up the octave. So here are our 2 options for this E flat 9 chord. The first one is without the B flat, without the 5th. That's nice because we don't have to bar. But if you want to play the 5th, you need to bar the top 3 strings. That's our second option. And most funk guitar parts, I hate to say it, use that top string, stuff like this, which we're going to get into a little bit later. That stuff is all this version of the chord. So if you can bar, great. If not, you can play it like this. Okay, great. All right, so let's go back to our metronome And I'm gonna put the metronome on eighth notes instead of quarters because I think it'll be a little easier for us to all play along to. And I'm going to start getting with this 16th note scratching is what I call it, and what most people call this sort of thing, scratching. So playing every 16th note basically, 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. So we're going to scratch, and I'm going to start dropping in this E flat 9 chord. And a 2. So this is our tempo: 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. I'm going to slow this down just a little bit, just while we're still in the practicing phase. 1E and a. That's much better. All right, so now we're going to put this E flat 9 chord just on beat 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's put it on beat 3 too. So 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1. This is a nice thing to do while you're watching TV and want to annoy your loved ones. Also, at first, when you're getting this technique together, it's okay to put some muscle into it. You can drive through the strings. Eventually, we like to play light, but when you're just starting out, to get the technique down, you can give it a little muscle. Here we go. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. All right, we got this. Now let's put it on every downbeat, okay? 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1. I'm burying the click. I'm warmed up. All right, now now let's start throwing in the eighth notes too. So 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a. So far we're only playing chords on the downstrokes. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and. Now let's try every eighth note. So we've got 1E and a 2E and a 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All right, how's this feeling to everyone? Cool. So this is the easy part. The playing downstrokes is the easy part. The problem that people run into is when you start playing chords on the upstrokes, because the way our bodies are, it's a lot easier for us to play downstrokes like this and put a lot of force into them and have a lot of accuracy. Coming up is a little less natural. So let's start playing this E flat 9 chord on some offbeats. So on the E's and the U's. 1E and a. So let's start by just scratching. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. Okay, so we're going to put a upbeat on the E of 1. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1E and a. Let's do it on every beat. So 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. All right, now let's try the same thing but on the U's. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and All right, now let's try every upbeat. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and Sound like we're in a ska band. I see some folks. I'm watching you all in the gallery, and I see some folks. I'm getting nitpicky here. I'm spending a lot of time on this technique stuff because this will give you a good foundation when it's finally time to start playing some music. I see a lot of folks who are moving their wrists a lot, or like coming up like this. I'm definitely exaggerating a bit, but I see people coming up like this. Try to keep your wrist in place, and also make sure not to rest your hand on the strings, because once the tempo gets a little higher, you just don't have time to rest your hands on the strings every time you are not playing. So really be cautious of keeping this whole right hand very centered, very relaxed, and keeping it from moving. So this is the I remember someone had me do this when I was kind of getting into this sort of style of guitar playing. They had me set the metronome to a higher tempo and try to play all the upbeats because I thought I was getting good at this. No, so so let's try scratching at this tempo. This is at 120. This is fast. So it's not difficult to play all the downstrokes here. 1. But playing the upstrokes, it gets really difficult very quickly once you start upping the tempo. So focus on those downstrokes. If you hear people yelling in the background, it means something's gone well in the football game tonight. I don't know what happened because I'm in here, but something's going well. So we're going to do another exercise here. I'm going to slow this back down. We're now at 80 BPMs. We're going to displace the 16th note by our strums by 1/16th note every bar. So we're going to start on just the downbeats. 3, 4. 1 E and a 2, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E. Now we're going to move it over. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1. Now we're going to move it over again. So now we're on the and. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and let's move it over once more. 1 E and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 E and 2 and 3. All right, now let's put that all together again. 2, 3, 4. Downbeats. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. First 16th note. 1 E and 2 E and 8 notes. Or the odd beats. 1 and 2 and 3. And the last one. 1 E and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 E and 2 and 3. Again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. So this is the downbeats. Here come the E's. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1. Here's the and. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. And the E. 1 E and. Or the sorry. That's a good exercise because then you're holding yourself accountable to be able to play a chord on any 16th note. This is an E flat 9 chord. So E flat, G, D flat, F, and a B flat. So I'm barring with my third finger, I'm barring the top 3 strings on the 6th fret. And then with my first finger, I'm playing the 5th fret of the D string. And with my second finger, I'm playing the 6th fret of the A string. Oh, someone has said when we speed up, my pick moves. Yes, this is so common. I have this happen too, where I have long classical, or I have long fingernails for playing classical guitar, and sometimes a string will hook underneath my finger, throwing my hand off. So a couple things here. You can try different picks. You can try a really light pick. That sometimes people like a really light pick with this style of playing because it just takes less force to drive it through the strings. But if you're having trouble, yes, I can show you how I hold on to my pick. So I put my thumb along the back. So this is tough to. My thumb along the back side like this. So my thumb is like perpendicular to the pick, and then my first finger on my right hand goes on the opposite side. So I'm like holding it like this. I'll get these fingers out of the way. That works for me, but how people hold their picks is very personal. Everyone's different. I also don't grip it too hard because I found if I grip the pick too hard, it starts to sort of like, it starts to rotate, and then I have none of the, I just don't have enough pick left to actually play this. So if you're having trouble holding on to the pick, we're probably going too fast. So we should slow it down. Okay, so let's now make this sound a little bit more like some music and play a pattern. Oh, before we do that, I wanted to talk about what's going on with the left hand. So the trick to this style of playing is the technique in your right hand and keeping a steady motor going, but it's also to develop develop how you mute with your left hand. So a nice way to start this is to play a chord, like play this E flat 9 chord, and allow it to ring, and then stop the sound by picking up the fingers on your left hand. So you're not stopping it by putting by getting your right hand involved. The sound is being stopped by only your left hand, ceasing to put pressure on the strings. So let's start by let's do this. Let's play this E flat 9 chord. We'll allow it to ring for a beat, and then we'll choke the chord by picking our fingers up. 1 off, 1 off. So 1 off. Good question. Pierre asks, are you muting the low E string with your middle finger? I sure am. I'm muting the low E string here with the flesh of my second finger, or my middle finger. The way I think about fingers is the way the classical guys do. So this is first finger, second finger, third finger, fourth finger. That's thumb. So yes, my middle finger is resting very lightly on the low E strings. So when I drive through all of these strings, so someone asks, oh, thumb okay for that mute of the E string? Definitely. Whatever it takes. How do you make sure, Hugo in the chat asks, how do you make sure the harmonic doesn't ring on the low E string? Well, that's not really an issue unless you're on the 5th or the 7th fret. Sometimes the 3rd fret too, you'll get, especially if you're on the bridge pickup. A trick about harmonics is that they'll sound the best and most clear when you are on the bridge pickup. Case in point, versus they're a little bit more clear, they're a little louder. Also, the closer you play to the bridge, the more they'll sound also. So how do I avoid it? I think I make like a little adjustment when I'm on those frets to make sure that I don't accidentally have a little bit of harmonic ringing. I also would bring my thumb over. So like, if I'm getting that, I'd let my thumb come over just a little bit. Yeah, the thumb comes over. Now that I'm actually playing a little bit, I see the thumb is coming over. Okay, so let's now let's work on the muting with your left hand and release the strings even faster. So on an 8th note, 1 and 1 and 1 and 1 and 1 and 1. Another important point, my fingers are staying there. So it's not this. I'm not taking my fingers off of the fretboard. I'm just applying pressure and then taking the pressure off. So now let's shorten it even more. So as soon as my right hand drives through the strings, I'm putting pressure on. I'm fretting with my left hand. And then as soon as the strum's done, I release with my left hand. It's subtle, but once you get going, that can be a musical decision too. Like if I'm scratching and I'd like to play something that's it sounds where I'm doing a lot of muting with my left hand, I can do something like this. Instead of that's a version without very much muting. That's a version with the muting. It's fun. It's like it's. I almost feel like you have to think like a keyboard player, like someone playing a clavinet, and or playing like a bongo or a conga, which is the role of the guitar in this sort of music a lot. You're thinking your pitched percussion. You aren't really a lead instrument. Typically. Okay, so let's get our metronome going again, and let's try some simple patterns Oh, someone has a question. Clint says, does super quick muting necessitate using fingertips rather than barring? I don't think so. For me, I'm still barring here with my third finger on the top three strings. Oh, I see. For the example I just played, I did do this. I changed the voicing to be, but I don't think I need to do that. It could be this. It's a different sound to me doing this. Actually, you know what, Clint? I just noticed something. I think it kind of does to do that super quick muting thing. I think it helps to be on your fingertips rather than barring, because I'm finding when I'm this is good. I am learning things here. I find when I bar, if I'm barring and still trying to get that same sound, what I naturally do is bring my other fingers in to mute the strings. Which is a cool sound and technique on its own, but I think it's easier to do this. Can we talk for a second about how the same part sounds different when you mute, or sorry, when you use fingertips versus bar? It's a slight difference, but it actually does sound different. That's why the guitar is so cool, because everyone, it's these little decisions that we each as individual players make that make a huge difference on sound. And like everyone who picks up the guitar sounds different instantly, which is a pretty cool feature of the instrument. Okay, so let's get back to this metronome. We're scratching. To be clear, we have been playing straight 16th notes the entire night. We've never swung anything. To illustrate the difference, this is straight 16ths. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. And here's swung. Here it comes. One E and back straight. Swung. Straight. Swung. So we're going to keep with straight because it's a little easier to feel, but you can practice all this stuff swung too. Okay, so the pattern we are going to play is da-ga, da-da. So 1 E and a, 2 E and a. I'm on an E flat 9 chord. 1 E and a, 2 E and a. I'm going to move my hand position a little bit so you can see what my right hand is doing. Another point that I wanted to make, which is that I'm heavy on the top strings. I'm not hitting the low strings as much as I'm hitting the top strings. I cannot talk and play in time too. There it is. So it's not this. here. I'm barely even touching with my picking hand the E flat. Yep. Let's just keep this going. All right, now let's try playing this as lightly as we can. Here we go. All right, now let's start to dig in. Let's add one strum to this. So, da 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 da. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4. So one strum on 4. Okay, so you can do, you can write your own patterns to play. You can play that one forever, but doing this will help your time so much across all of your guitar playing. I used to have when I was first getting into playing, but just getting into playing rhythm guitar, I had this exercise that I made on GarageBand that I should make again, but it was essentially a 100-bar exercise, and it was a drum groove, and after about 50 bars, it started dropping beats. So it would go 50 bars of just the drum groove, so I'd play this for 50 bars. Are we gonna add the dance move with that pattern? That's what Peter asked. Yes, and he's gonna demonstrate it for us. It's a 2-step. The dance move for this is, I mean, I don't have a strap. Actually, I do, but I'm not gonna get up and demonstrate it, but it's 1 step to the left, 1 step back, 1 step to the right, 1 step back. That's the dance move. Yeah, great. No, but so I had this 100-bar exercise, and it would be the first 50 bars would be just a drum groove. Then it would drop a beat. So it'd be 4 bars. So I'd be responsible from beat 1 to 3 of playing the groove just myself, and then it would go to only a hit every bar, and then a hit every 2 bars, and then every 3 bars, and then every 4 bars, and by the end of the exercise, I would be playing like 8 bars all by myself and trying to make sure that the click hit on 1 again. It's challenging. Oh, what's up? My friend, I'm in my buddy Sam's studio, and he just came in here to say hello. So essentially, it's the same sort of exercise, but it's putting the metronome here. Like, so that's the metronome on 20. So I'm getting 1 click for every bar. So it's really on me to make sure I keep my time steady, which makes me play softer, which makes me open my ears, which makes me a better musician and play better because I'm actually listening to what's going on. Because I'm getting less information from, in this case, the metronome, but in the case of my 100-bar exercise, it was a drum machine. Okay, let's learn some James Brown. It's an E flat 9. This whole thing's been building towards this. We're gonna learn the guitar part to Get Up, also known as Sex Machine. and the tempo is so we'll play a little slower. Oh, you know what? There's a great, if you're interested in this style, before I forget, there's a really, really outstanding guitar player who you should go follow on Instagram or Patreon if you want to dive deep into the world of funk guitar playing. Go follow Ella Ray Feingold. Amazing guitar player, and she's doing a lot of educational videos and posts. I just posted this in her name in the chat. She's doing a lot about this style of guitar playing on social media. So she's a tremendous resource for us all these days. Okay, so we're gonna play the A section of Get Up. So it's an E flat 9 chord, and how most people play it is like this. So E flat 9, and then some people will use their pinky and go up and add the pinky. So that's the part. The simplest version of it. A couple things I don't like about that, now that I've shown it to you. I don't like this stretch. I don't like, because as you can see, my thumb goes from here to there. It's like it moves back so I can get that stretch. So that leads me to think I should re-voice this chord. So what I do is I drop the lowest two notes, those two, and I just play the top 3 strings. So I bar with my first finger and I add either my 3rd finger or my 4th finger, whatever one feels more comfortable to you, to go from E9, or E flat 9, sorry, to E flat 13. You're just adding a 13 to the top of that chord. I don't really miss those low 2 strings. However, this guitarist I mentioned, Ella, posted a clip of her playing this, and she was doing this, and I went back and listened to the tune, and I realized that she was right. The actual part is chord, bass, and then that little thing, that little 13 to 9th movement. So So no one's gonna kick you off the bandstand if you just play. That's fine. But if you really want to get it a little bit more right, I need to probably steady myself a little bit more. That's the actual part from the record. So here we go. 2, 3, 4. And with this sort of music, you gotta stick to your part. You can't start doing this. You're fired instantly if you do that. James Brown has fined you, and you're out of the band within the fourth bar of doing that sort of stuff. So stick to the part. You could throw in a little variation a couple times here and there, but the part police will come and they will take you to jail if you deviate from the part. He actually, if you listen to old James Brown live recordings, sometimes when he says stuff like "gotcha," it's because someone in the band messed up, and that means he's going to fine them. He actually would fine people for making mistakes. So let me slow this down. I realized I kind of I got into it a little fast. So we've got 1 and 2 and 3 and That's the rhythm of the part. So 1 and 2 and 3 and
Doesn't that break the 18th note pattern with the right hand, though?
It doesn't, because it's 1 and 2 and. Every downstroke happens on a downbeat or the and. So 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3 and I also should mention that on this part, you can, on this sort of part, you can play it with scratching. But it doesn't sound as good. It just takes up a lot more space. I see a lot of people when they play funk, and myself included, am guilty of this. They'll account for every 16th note, stuff like. That's cool. That's great. That has a place, but that, in my opinion, doesn't need to be the default. It can be. It's good to leave space, you know. I'm also still scratching. I'm just not really hitting the strings. Like I still have this motor going. But I'm thinking like a conga player. They're like there are some notes which are accented, some are ghost notes. So I'm thinking like that. Let's go to the B section. So now James is like, guys, let's go to the bridge. So here we go. We're going to A flat. So A flat 9 chord. So we go start with an A flat 13. So it's this 9 chord shape, but we add a 13. Then we take off the 13, go back to a 9, go down a whole step, and then up a half step, and up another half step. So the part sounds like this: 2, 3, 4. I'll take a slower. 1. So 1 E and a 2 E and up. I'll slow it way down. So it's down, up, down, up, 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 up. I'm just start to get back up to the record tempo. Also, again, for me, I don't love this. This just feels awkward to me, so I drop the lowest note and go. So I'm playing, and then down a whole step, up a half step, up a half step. So it's the same thing, just without that low A flat. All right, let's go back to the bridge, or to the A section. 2, 3, 4. To the bridge, here we go. All right, getting back to the B section, there's one more chord that we need to play, and it's a B flat 7 flat, B flat 7 sharp 9. You know what? Don't quote me on that. It might be a natural 9, but it's a 5 chord. So let's play a 7 sharp 9 for now. So B flat 7, D, A flat, D flat. And that's just on 8 notes. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. To the bridge. To the 5 chord. That's the whole tune. That's it.